Your life is just a reflection of your own mind. Change your thoughts and you can change everything. In this video, I'm going to share with you 5 truths that can help shift how you perceive yourself, this world, and your relationship to this world. These aren't just some spiritual ideas. These are tools that you can use right now in your life to start living with more clarity and purpose. Hello everyone, my name is Jason. I'm a teacher in the Quantum School of Zen and have been practicing Zen meditation for almost 28 years. I work with a lot of students, and over time, I've seen 5 things or 5 truths that I think many of us ignore in our own lives. And when we don't see these things or these truths, they create a hindrance. And the first truth that we may not see is that the past does not exist. I think most of us know that, but how many of us are still living in the past? Oh, I should have done that, or I could have been this, or I really regret doing that. And what happens is we spend so much time and energy living in the past that we stop living in this moment. And if we don't fully engage and meet this moment as it is, it creates a lot of problems in our lives, not only for ourselves, but for others. In many of my videos, I talk about past experiences. And sometimes I wonder, did that really happen? Or at least the way I thought it happened? I think sometimes we paint the past to make it look like the way we want. But one thing I do know about the past is that everything that happened led to this moment. I was recently talking to my son, and I said to him, in my 20s, I moved from California to Seattle. If I didn't do that, you would not exist. I wouldn't even be making this video right now. So all of those things that happened, even the difficult experiences, led to this very moment. So it's not about forgetting about the past or pretending it didn't happen. That's just going to create more problems. It's digesting our experiences. I've been talking a lot about this in my videos because usually if we're going through a difficult experience, we resist it. We either try to push it away or pretend it never happened, or we cling to it and think about it all the time. But if we take a step back and keep open, not pushing away the experience, not holding it, then we can learn from it. So that's one thing about the past. We can learn from the past. Digesting our experience gives us wisdom. It also gives us strength and courage. And if we do that, then we spend less time thinking about the past and definitely have less regrets. The second truth that we may not see is that the future is an anxiety trap. Most of the time when we're experiencing anxiety, it's because we're living in the future. What's going to happen, or what could happen, or the uncertainty. I remember I was leading a 1-week retreat at the Providence Zen Center, and every afternoon we would go out for a long hike in the woods. Now, usually the teacher would lead this hike, and I was quite comfortable with that because I'm familiar with the trails at the Providence Zen Center, especially in the winter when there's a lot of snow. But when I arrived there, there was no snow. There was just leaves on the trails. So it was a little difficult to see where the trails would lead. And I remember one afternoon, I was leading a walk in the woods, and I knew where I wanted to go, the destination. But as we were walking, I was looking far ahead to see where the trail went. But because of the leaves on the trail, I couldn't see it. So I started to panic. I started to experience anxiety. Where does this trail go? What's going to happen if I don't know where we're going? Am I going to get everybody lost? Living and thinking in the future. But something happened that I shifted my view from looking far ahead to just right in front of me. And when I looked right in front of me, I can see an indentation in the trail from people walking on the leaves. So then I was able to follow the trail and end up at the destination. So again, this is not about not thinking about the future. We all have to think about the future. We have to make plans. If I didn't think about the future, I wouldn't be making this video right now. But what's important is to pay attention to what we are doing now. Because if we make this moment clear, then that means this moment is clear. Now, after saying that, the third thing that we may not see is that we have no control. If we spend so much time and energy living in the past or living in the future, then we just create fear, anxiety, frustration, and then we try to control everything in our lives. But that's not the way this world works. I ask you, how many things can you control in this world? I would say it's not very many. But we do have control of how we relate to this world. So there's the truth of what's happening, and then there's our relationship to the truth. So look at this moment. What are we doing? Are we adding our own fears, our anxiety, our narrative, our story? Are we trying to pretend it's not happening? Are we trying to push it away? This just creates a prison in our own mind and creates more suffering. So what's important is to be open right now in this moment. Look at this moment with curiosity. What is this? Because if we make this moment clear, our whole life is clear. The fourth truth that we may not see is that our habits make our life. I just recently talked about a Taoist teaching that states, pay attention to your thoughts because your thoughts become words. Pay attention to your words because your words become actions. Pay attention to your actions because your actions become habits. Pay attention to these habits because these habits become character. Pay attention to this character because this character makes your fate or your destiny. So if you want to change your life, take a look at yourself. If you want to change your habits, take a look at your actions, your words, your thoughts. So all you have to do right now, What is happening in this moment, and how can I help? The last truth that you may not see is that you are not what you think. If I asked you, what are you, or who are you? How could you respond? Actually, pause this video and let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested in hearing from you. But maybe you say your name, but you didn't have that name before you were born. Maybe you say, oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a parent, a husband, a wife, or a partner. Is that really what you are? You know, in my book, I talked about this experience I had with this therapist while I was living in Seattle in my 20s. This is when everything fell apart. And during the sessions, I kept telling this therapist how I identified as a musician. I was music, music was me. And I remember the very last time I saw her, she said, you know, before you go, I want to ask you a question. You said that you are music. Music is you. So what percent of you is music? I said, 90%. She said, very interesting. Let me ask you this. If you are not playing music, then what are you? And I was stuck. I couldn't answer. My whole life, I believed I was something, but I really didn't know. And she said, well, what is this thing that goes to the grocery store? What is this thing that cooks? What is this thing that eats? What is it? And that really helped me open my mind, this idea about myself. Because sometimes we create a very narrow view of ourselves. We put ourselves in like a box. And when we strongly identify with something, think that it is us, then we create blinders. And all of us do this. We all have blinders. So we cannot see the truth. So what's most important is to take away these blinders. That's why I usually recommend meditation practice to investigate this. You know, if you look at these 5 things, it all has to do with thinking. It's not that thinking is good or bad. It's our attachment to thinking, our holding the thinking, clinging to our thinking. So if we can just let go and put our focus into what we are doing now, then everything becomes clear. These 5 truths becomes clear. I hope this video was helpful. You can let me know by liking this video, share this video with someone, or put a comment down below. Also, I made a video called The Real Purpose of Life, and I really dig in deeper about what we really are. What is our true self? And how do we create more purpose in our lives? I think it may be helpful. Okay, everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and I will see you very soon.